Welcome back to Riding Bikes in San Diego. We have a lot to look at today. I've already shown you this in a previous video. These are the new flex posts that went in on Fairmount, just north of Mead. And I've been talking a lot about flex posts lately because these projects are happening. These are on my regular route. And I was telling somebody I was going to make this, and they were like, yeah, it's probably going to be salty. I don't mean for it to be salty. But what I do mean to point out is that, these are complicated. On the one hand, some people might feel better about them being here. I guess they provide a visual barrier, so drivers know that, they should beware and it's not just paint. On the other hand, these are also plastic flex posts and they're not protecting anybody. Let's not work under the illusion that if a driver drifts over to the right, that these pieces of plastic are going to actually stop them. And we should talk about the inconsistency. It stops. So now we're going to go over this bridge. This bridge is arguably the most dangerous part of this, other than this merge coming up right here. But we don't have any meaningful design to make these places safer. Instead, we have pieces of plastic on the straightaways, and maybe that's not a bad thing. We've done that before. After that weird little jog back there, these are brand new. I haven't shown you these yet. And again, cool. I'm glad that they're there. And, hopefully they'll stay here for a while because all it takes is a couple of drivers to smack into them and they're going to be gone. But I wanted to show you this. I wanted to make sure that, we're all on the same page with this. And I'm going to speed through this because we've done this ride before looking at these. Now we're on Montezuma. And this is the project that they did. Then they tore it up. Then they did it all again. I will note that on these, instead of the black bases, we have white bases, and there are reflectors built into those. So that's not nothing. I mean, I guess it's a slight improvement. Black blends in with the asphalt. The white pops a little more, and with a retro reflector on it, that'll make that pop a little longer, I suppose. It ends up here, though, of course, at 54th. This is another new portion. This is on Montezuma heading west, and these are all new also. And credit where it's due, the pavement here is a lot smoother. The pavement is, this is way nicer than it used to be. And not to be cynical, but at some point, especially when these trees start up, there is going to be debris that starts dropping in here when a certain season comes around. We'll deal with that when we get there, but it's way smoother and way nicer. And then, of course, they go away. So we had it, and then we lost it. And they stop here at Mount Zion, I think that street is called. And then we, or something. No, it's Yerba, Santa Yerba. And then we're back on Fairmount, going the other way. We came west, and now we're heading back south. Some of this new green paint is nice, but some kind of construction truck dropped a bunch of stuff in the triangle back there, so I've had to cut over really early, and that's been a bit of a drag. So I'm riding along, and I'm like, I wonder if they'll do anything over here. And they're not, because there's no buffer, right? It's just a line. But then the buffer starts up here, and I was pleasantly surprised to see some flex posts over here. There's a funny thing about these flex posts, though, that I want to share with you. Every single one of these flex posts that you see is held in with only half the hardware. Take a look at this image. See, there's one bolt and an empty spot, and then another bolt and an empty spot. There are 4 bolts that hold these things in, and only 2 are being used. Every single one that we saw is only being held half down. I am riding on this on the first day I am seeing these. These were not here on Monday, and I did see them on Tuesday, and I'm now making this video on Wednesday morning. I just want to point out that actually, if you go back on Montezuma, not in this video, but if you look on the video I posted last week about it, some of the poles have already been smacked out, and sometimes the bases come up too. I can't help but think that the bases sometimes get displaced, specifically because they're not being held down tight enough, and now I know, because I stopped and took that photo, that they're not being held down because they're only using half the hardware. Now, I understand the city has to save money where it needs to, especially when we have a $258 million budget shortfall coming in at San Diego. But I knew that the designs were, half-assed and not well thought out, but I didn't realize that they were literally using only half the hardware on these posts. I didn't realize that it was that, I don't know, what do we call it? Is it haphazard? Is it careless? Is it like good enough? You know, it seems like, okay, let's save some money on bolts and the labor of putting them in, but also they're going to get destroyed more easily, and then they're going to have to get replaced. And so I've been thinking a lot about, cost benefits and fiscal impacts. My students in one of my classes are working on that for a project right now, and it's a little goofy. They also go away, and there are dots in the median which make me think that maybe they will install more flex posts on here. But again, people have pointed this out whenever I post about Fairmount, that this is an expressway. If the city thinks a few pieces of plastic held down by only half the hardware required to hold them down is enough, okay. But, I don't know if it's enough. And I don't mean to be salty about this. Some people in comments on a video previously were like, well, you need incremental changes. If you do big changes, then it's going to piss off the NIMBYs. But my point of view is that it's a waste of money to do these little superficial aesthetic incremental changes. We really need more safety, just do it right the first time. People will get used to it. They'll flip out at first, and then they'll be like, oh, actually, maybe this isn't so bad. But that's the flex post, and of course now we're in a spot where they have ended. But maybe they'll put some more in here. I don't know. I'll look for them, and if I find them, I'll let you know. But I really wanted to share with you that bit about the fact that these are not being held down with all the hardware that could hold them down. Just discovering that made me even more frustrated about the whole thing. Never mind that hollow pieces of plastic only do so much. They're not even being held down at all four corners. So I don't know, think about that. The next time you go buy a piece of IKEA furniture, think about if only half the hardware is going to do the job for you. What's going to happen if you don't put all those screws in to your furniture? Pick anything and build it halfway and just see how that works out. We're going to feel okay about this, I guess. Keep going in these bike lanes regardless of whether or not there's infrastructure or design. Drive less and ride a bike. Thanks.